Hi, I'm Mark from BandLab for Educators, and this channel exists to help teachers learn how to use the award-winning music creation software, BandLab. While I'm not affiliated with BandLab, I believe in the same philosophy as they do, which is empowering teachers and students with the tools they need to collaborate, engage, and have meaningful learning in the classroom. Its features let students create music with little to no music theory, no prior knowledge of instruments is needed, and students will have fun while doing it. And did I mention it's free? If you're just starting to use BandLab now, go ahead and click on this video right here to see how to set up your school and classroom, and also have students log in to your classroom. So at this point right now, I like to remind my students, just knowing how to add in sounds, adjust volume levels, and stretch and shrink a song, you now have almost all of the tools to create a radio-ready song. This is where many of them say, no, you're wrong, you need to know more about music theory, you need to have more knowledge of it. And I say, well, let's go ahead and see if we can create a song right now and see if it's radio ready. So, as educators, let's go ahead and first create the lesson. As always, we're going to go to edu.bandlab.com. Remind your students and yourself that, again, we want to go to the Education BandLab version and not the private BandLab version. We're going to log in with Google and not use our Google name or password. And let's go ahead and create the assignment. As always, we're going to go ahead and click Create, and we'll click on New Assignment. Let's label this assignment Radio Ready Song. Again, we're going to leave the deadline alone because, again, we don't want to lock our students out after the deadline. For this assignment, I want to keep the assignment pretty simple, but I want to give them 5 steps to work with. Step number 1 is I want them to search for a certain pack or a certain loop library called Stadium Rock. I like this one because the sounds of it are pretty intense. Plus, again, we're creating a rock band, and most rock bands are going to fill up an arena. Number 2, I want them to know that most rock bands are made up of a drum, bass, guitar, keyboard, and vocalist, so I want them to choose those instruments in their song. If you want this to be a great learning lesson for you to show videos or sounds of different famous rock bands that have played in stadiums, Queen just comes to mind right away. Step number 3, I want to constantly reinforce past learning objectives that we learned, such as stretching and shrinking. That way they constantly remember how to do it. Number 4, this is a great way to start having your students understand how music is developed, how music has a certain form. In number 4, I wrote that I want your loops to start at different numbers. Not too many songs have all of their instruments start at the exact same time. Imagine if your song was 3 minutes long and it was just the same parts over and over again for 3 minutes. That would be such a boring song that no one would want to listen to it. So remind your students right away that we want their loops to start at different times. This way, as the listener is listening to the song, every few seconds something new is introduced and something new is exciting. And number 5, again, we want them to really remember to adjust those volume levels because, again, not all sounds are created equal. And remind them about that master fader. Great, we have our whole song completed. Let's go ahead and publish the assignment. So our assignment is published, but you know what? I forgot. I wanted to add something to this before I want my students to see it. So I want to quickly click on these 3 dots, click on Unpublish real quick, just so no student can see the assignment right now. And notice right away it changes to draft. That means only I can see it. Students can't see it. Let's go to Edit Assignment real quick. And I want to actually attach something to this. So let's go ahead and click on Attachment. And it kind of made me think that, you know what? We should probably show pictures of some famous rock bands. I mean, we are educators. We want them to know maybe a history of rock and roll or some certain bands that have been very influential. So I found this picture of the Beatles that I really like. Even though it's not 5 people playing, Beatles are probably one of the most influential bands ever. So I'm going to go ahead and save this picture. Where it says attachments, I'm going to go ahead and click there. And I'm going to go ahead and add this attachment to it. Alright, give it a few seconds for it to upload. Great, it's all done. Let's go ahead and click Save. And now I have that picture of the Beatles attached to my assignment where students can actually download it and see it. And this would be a great way to introduce your students to the Beatles or whatever rock band that you want them to know about and have a good discussion about it. All right, so let's go ahead now and change this from draft to publish. So click on those three dots again and click publish. And we can see that our picture is attached to it still. Everything is still the same. Click publish. And now students are ready for their assignment. Let's go ahead and see what they're going to say. All right, so students logged in. Remember to have them go to edu.bandlab.com. Remind them we want to have them log in through Google and not typing in their password. So there we go. We can see the assignment, and as educators, we should read the directions for them, walk them through the steps, and notice that the directions don't all display, so we need to show more so they can actually see everything. Again, remind your students about the necessary steps that they need, and go ahead and tell them to click on the Show Attachments. This brings the picture. We can have them download that picture, and then they can go ahead and click on it. It's going to open up, and then you can have a brief discussion about, hey, who are the members of the Beatles, or can you name me one Beatles song, or let's listen to my favorite Beatles song right now. Possibilities are endless, and I always look for ways to introduce real-life conversation to my students. Plus, any chance I can talk about the Beatles, I'm going to. So, yeah, that's going to happen. Let's go ahead and have them start the assignment here. And, as always, remind them they want to click on Teacher's Assignment, not Personal Assignment. At this point, students will probably ask you, well, are we ever going to use these things? And you can tell them, of course we are when we're ready. But right now, we're going to go ahead and click Decide because we're not ready yet. All right, this is a perfect time now because this assignment has 5 steps. They're going to probably most likely forget the directions. And this is where they're going to constantly raise their hand and bother you and ask you, what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? I'm sure we've all been there. So remind them that at any point they forget the directions, they can click on Assignment Brief and they can easily read it again and keep track of what they're supposed to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want them to search for the Stadium Rock Pack. So we'll go to Loops, we'll go to the word Packs, and we're going to type in the word Stadium Rock. Great thing is, even if you spell it wrong, BandLab at least knows that it's close enough to it, and it knows that's the one you want. All right, here we are. We're in Stadium Rock Pack now, so now I can see all of the sounds that are in Stadium Rock. And now let's go to step 2, which is we need to pick drums, bass, guitar, keyboard, and vocals. Remind your students that on the second column right here, they can see the instruments that each loop is. And this time, why don't we preview the loops so that way we can be a little more particular about the sounds we're getting. So here's the drum for drum number 1. Not bad. Let's hear number 2. That's good. Number 3. Oh, you know what? I like that one a lot. I don't even need to listen to number 4. So it's drag and drop it right in there. All right, so now I need a bass. So we're going to go to the top for bass. And again, let's preview some of these loops here. I like number 3 as well, so let's drag that in. I need a guitar now, so I'm going to look for the guitar portion. Here it is. I like number 1, so let's go ahead and drag that in right there, or rhythm guitar number 2, I guess it really is. Did I just skip number 1? Now we'll go with 2 still. All right, we need a keyboard player, so let's go ahead and preview the keys. I like the first one. And we need some vocals. I like number 3, so we're going to stick with that one right there. Okay, so I have my drums, I got my bass, I got my guitar, my keys, and vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all done. I love that BandLab automatically color codes the tracks so that way they can easily see the difference in all of them. Let's go ahead and get rid of this loop tab here and go back to the assignment and see what we need to do. It says here, be sure to stretch and shrink your loops, and we want to have our loops start at different numbers. Since this is the first time we're introducing this concept, I highly suggest you show your students two things. First, show them the numbers on the top. This is their ruler. This is what I was talking about before, is we want them to have them start at different numbers. So if I want the drums to come at number 1, we're doing this in four number increments. So that means the next instrument should come in at number 5. All right. So now we have our staircase. Looks great. But you know what? Just because I said 4 beat increments, remind your students it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to be like this. Maybe I want my vocals to come in before the keys. So it looks something like that. Or maybe I want my keys to come in after my guitar, so it looks something like that. It doesn't have to look pretty, but you want them to know that every song can look different. Plus, what a great way to show your students that even though they're using the same pack folder, every single song is going to sound different because they chose different packs and they put it in different orders. Do I hear remix? Oh, yeah. All right, so we need to stretch and shrink this. So we're going to go ahead and click on loop, and we grab the top corner, and we start stretching that. And we'll go to the end of our loop section there. Let's go and have our bass also stretch it out, but let's go all the way to the end there. Let's have our keys get stretched out as well, but this time let's only stretch it out to there. It doesn't have to get to the full length. If every sound is going to start at a different time, it doesn't mean that all the sounds have to end at the same time. Let's get our vocals going, not there, but let's go a little bit further. So maybe the vocals have a little bit of solo at the end. You know, it's always great to end with some vocals. It might be a cool way to have your song end. All right, and so we stretched it. We didn't shrink it, so maybe you want to have your students shrink a little bit, or you just say as long as they did a little bit of it, it's fine. As long as they stretched it or shrink it, maybe give it one or the other. Leave it up to you. Let's go ahead and check out the assignment brief. And now we need to adjust the volume levels because remember, all sounds are not created equal. So let's go ahead and listen to it, and then we can adjust our volume levels as we go. Remind your students to keep their eye on the master fader up here. If it goes into red, we need to drop that volume. Already digging it. Let's bring down the bass a tiny bit. I love the vocals. We got to turn them up a little. We want them in front. We want them louder than everything. And that guitar is a little hot. Let's bring it down a tiny bit. All right. Listening to the song, I loved it, but right away you'll notice the one thing that kind of sounded a little weird is at the very end, the vocals in that last little oh. All right, that'd be a weird way to end a song. So this would be a great way for us to shrink that last little bit. We can just grab that loop top there, the top loop icon, and just bring it in to when that ends, so it's not ending on an actual number. Let's go ahead and save this real quick so that way we don't lose it. And again, remind your students to save, save, save. Let's listen to it one last time and see if we like all the necessary changes. Drums sound great. And again, I keep my eye on that master fader there, making sure I don't go into red. Let me bring down the drums a tiny bit. This kind of sounds like a U2 song, doesn't it? Good. So never in red, which is great. Sounds great. Love it. All right, let's go ahead and click that save button again, and then your students can go ahead and click the submit button. Love it. And now your students are rock stars. And remind your students that when they're rich and famous, they need to write you a check for teaching them what to do. Great, so now your students feel accomplished, they feel great. So remind your students when they're rich and famous to write you a check because you were their teacher. That does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. If you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe and to ring the bell. That'll let you know when a new video is released. Leave a comment and let me know about any questions or problems that you're having, and I'll happily get back to you. And remember to have fun making music. Take care.
Be strong.